Hey everyone, what is up and welcome back to another Lightless Reads. Tonight's subject is Xenoblade X. We have just discovered that this game actually has two, if not more, unique untold stories from the game. Previously, we talked about and read the secret story on how Fiora got her body back in the original Xenoblade. So we decided we got these stories, you guys seem to like them, so let's do another one if we will. So the one in which we are going to be covering in this series is going to be a 4-part series. It describes the beginning of Blade, the white whale crashing on Mira, and just the discussion of just how soldiers adapted and how NLA was built. And just as a full transparency, this is a story written by I'm really hoping I am pronouncing it right. Yuichiro Takeda.
Takeda.
Or Takeda.
I don't know.
Yuichiro Takeda.
Basically the scriptwriter of the Xenoblade and Xenosaga series.
As well as many other things. But with that said, this is translated by Gesenko. The story, Forging Blade.
And we'll leave a link in the description of these stories.
If you want to read along yourself. Part 1. Upon that nameless planet. The majority of the sapient races there had not yet come to understand the full extent of the universe. While they understood that the flat surface they stood upon was land, they did not comprehend that at the same time they were standing upon a sphere known as a planet. Perhaps there were beings lurking about who understood such concepts as planets, but whether one or many, they had never shared their knowledge with the less advanced. Therefore, it was not yet planet Mira to these creatures. It was simply huge land that go on and on. Really does go on and on, muttered a walking potato. Well, it resembles the potatoes of this land, but it is no potato. It is a young boy of a race called the Nopon, named Tatsu. Look who's talking, Tatsu decided. Did we got this far? While it may not look like a potato is responding, it too is no potato. Rather, it is a green-skinned Nopon resembling a melon. Another young boy, named Ron. Together, the two of them hail from the Nopon of the Dodunga caravan. The trader Nopon race, outside of one small case, are nomads. Their caravans consist of anywhere from a handful to a hefty helping of families, and they spend their lives following one journey to the next. The things they sell are quite varied, ranging from animals to plants. Their unique Nopon items are also important products of theirs. If there is profit in trade, there is a loss as well. They receive charity from the more gentle races due to their adorable appearance, while the less kind races take to swindling them. And nevertheless, they are able to journey about as they please. But their journeys never end. They wander off on a whim, staying somewhere if they turn a profit, or freeloading the cities of other races. Among them are caravans headed for the supposed sacred land of Nopon legend, who appear to be wandering famously in search of it. The Dodunga caravan is a normal caravan. They have been away from the first generation, the Dodunga, all the way to whatever generation they're up to now. But their current leader is strangely reliable for a Nopon. But travelling fertile lands with an abundance of plant life and relying on friendly races to exterminate any hostile monsters, the Dodunga caravan has persevered. However, even in such peaceful travels, there is an adventurous young youth who says things like, "Can't stand being so bored." This curiosity-filled boy, Tatsu, inviting his close friend Ron, set out on a scouting mission. Scouting is done to stock up on food and things to trade, as well as finding much needed people to trade with. The young Noppon are surely up to the task. Although, unlike the self-titled scouting master Tatsu, Ron does not participate in such errands. Ron's specialty be guarding house, he says, in the inventory outside the safety of his own tent. If Ron keep that up, never become adult Noppon. That to help show Ron how scouting done. Must turn down offer. As house guard, Ron planned to give lifetime of service. Ron declined with Woody's words as Todd tried to drag him outside, but his resistance was in vain, and he came tumbling out of his own tent. Or rather, he was kicked out. How long Ron planned to act like sport child relying on Mama Pon? She not feed Ron forever, hurry him become adult, and let Mama Pon the rest. A sound argument. It embodied the sacred teaching passed down from the hum of Noppon legend. If man will not work, he shall not eat. Guess it's no use. At this rate, Ron be a legendary hero Pon. Must avoid that, said Ron, driven out of his cozy tent, and he accepted Tatsu as a travel companion. Grudgingly, reluctantly, unwillingly, nevertheless, he took that first step. Relax, if Ron leave everything to Tatsu, all be okay. Surely finish scouting mission and relieve Mama Pon. Yeah, Ron got at it. Thus, the two young Noppon set out to scout, but what they weren't aware of was that they had all forsaken their first steps into fate's unforgiving stomach. They were carefree lads that started their trip. They ate plants and bugs they found along the way, spitting at the bad tasting ones and saving the sweet ones in their Noppon packs. Whatever they didn't eat, they would bring back and use for trading. Oh, so tasty! Tatsu and Ron were stuffed. They had made a great feast of small bugs living in the forest. Bugs that would come to be called bloated geckos by a race with a per chance of naming everything they see. Saying a soft and flabby blubber that lay beneath their hard skin. However, the law of the land is survival of the fittest, and the world must adhere to the order of the food chain. If Noppon feast, so too can they be feasted upon. The two boys had lost their way chasing the geckos into the forest, and were now being eyed up by an enormous carnivorous creature. That's sweet, looking right at us. It was a creature that will later be called a tempenta, which hides itself along the ground, using the flowers to grow on its shell.
In other words, in the English version, Tectinsula.
It was thanks to that the Noppon had only just realized how close they had come to it. The tempenta rose, drooling at the sight of Tatsu and Ron. A look it gave them was the same they had given the bloated geckos. No, look away! It attack! It senses fear! Okay. Without breaking eye contact with the tempenta, they slowly stepped backwards. However, that was the shallow logic of the Noppon. They were nothing more than a potato and melon to the massive beast. Not caring whether they showed fear, the tempenta lent to them as they scattered, panicking. Ron not taste good. If monster have to eat one of us, eat Tatsu! Like Ron say, Tatsu incredibly juicy delicacy. Huh? Perhaps it was listening to their conversation, or perhaps it just preferred potatoes to melons. The tempenta chose to pursue Tatsu. Monster shouldn't believe everything Noppon say! Realizing the danger was gone, Ron stood rooted to the spot, and taking the valuable lesson left behind by his friend to heart, muttered in the direction of the screaming. Tatsu. Ron never forget Nobu's sacrifice. Take lesson Tatsu teach him, and never leave house again. Outside was scary. Thus, Ron left to return home. Although being a Noppon, he did not have the slightest sense of direction, and after being chased around by the monster, finding his way back home would take an enormous effort. He wandered off into the opposite direction of the Dunga caravan, and several days later, finally collapsed. Luckily for him, he was taken in by some kind aliens and became their pet god Noppon until the end of his days. But that's another tale, in of itself. Oh, why so persistent, monster? Give up already! Shouted Tatsu as he ran from the beast. But the Tempenta would not give up, no matter how far he fled. Tatsu, understand! Unable to stop because monster captured by Tatsu's charming body. Such lovely body has amazing balance between chub and elasticity. If cooked over fire, smells very, very aromatic. Tatsu drooling, just thinking about it. Wait, why Tatsu drooling about eating self? Fantasizing while running is not recommended because you're not paying attention to the ground beneath you. At that moment, Tatsu's foot got caught in the metal object hidden within the bushes. Ah! Like potato from a basket, Tatsu went running along, but this was fortunate of him, for just before he took his tumble, the Tempenta's jaws were preparing to snap, closed around him. Furthermore, in an instant after having failed to catch his prey, the Tempenta was scorched from every direction by concentrated laser fire. The metal object Tatsu had tripped over was the trap that someone had set down. There were also 4 laser rifles set around the trap, which roasted the Tempenta alive. Oh, all finished. After devouring everything but the Tempenta's shell, Tatsu sprawled out of the ground like a fluffy X. Although with his short limbs, he wasn't really X-shaped. But since this is a short story, you can just pretend he was. At any rate, Tatsu had eaten the entire monster, which is several times bigger than him. How he managed to fit everything in his tiny Nappon body is one of the biggest of the 99 mysteries of the Nappon. Somehow, or another, Tatsu had survived the most historically dangerous thing a Nappon could ever have experienced, but in his frenzy to finish his meal, there was something he forgot. A trap that saved his life, and who had set it. This thing ate our catch! Foolish child! Upon hearing the voices, Tatsu snapped out of his post-meal coma he was enjoying. It seemed their translation device's ability was rather poor, spitting out raspy words. Upon rising, Tatsu was greeted with a sight of 2 aliens pointing rifles at him. Since they spoke words and held weapons, they were without doubt intelligent life forms. But no matter how I looked at them, they only appeared to be wild beasts standing on their hind legs. They were members of a race called the Vyas,
which are basically the Japanese version of Prones or Ganglion,
who had only shown up in these lands very, very recently. Tatsu had never seen or heard of them before. You guys, what do you want with Tatsu? You steal prey from trap, so take you instead, said the Vyas as they grabbed at him. Tatsu took off in a hurry, becoming fast food once again. It was the Vyas chasing him this time, rather than the Tempenta, but they were all the same to him. The lesson to be learned here is don't let your guard down around here if you want to live for long. Unfortunately, for the Nappon, their tiny brains can't always keep that lesson inside. Alas, still Tatsu's destined to be chased by beasts hungry for a handsome body like his. If beasts want to cook Tatsu, let beautiful girls cook him instead. They treat Tatsu's body with care. Thought Tatsu as he fled. Luckily for him, the Vyas weren't particularly fleet of foot. The nimble Nappon fare far better inside a complicated forest. Somehow managed to lose them. Free of his Vaya pursuers, Tatsu realized he had ended up near the Dunga caravan's encampment. Huh? This place looked familiar somehow. Walking through the forest, he recalled the features of the terrain. Sure enough, there was a cliff just ahead that the caravan could be seen from. Tatsu reached deep inside his shallow pool of memories for clues on where to go. Eventually, he remembered the cliff-top view. However, all that awaited Tatsu over that horizon was the dawn of a cruel new fate. As he drew closer to the cliff, he could see stakes of black smoke rising. And when he finally stood upon the edge of the cliff, the cruelly burnt state of the camp entered his vision. All of the Dunga caravan tents had been scorched and trampled. but Tatsu could not see a sign of his family, or any Noppon at all. No way! Had the Noppon of the Dung caravan all fled somewhere, or were they kidnapped? Since he could not see any slain Noppon, he did not believe they were killed. At least, he hoped they were not. Maybe they were sitting in the stomachs of those gun-toting Vyres. No, he couldn't think like that. Everyone surely safe. Tatsu muttered to himself as the faces of his family and friends flowed through his thoughts. Just then, something hard pressed against the back of his head. Turning, he saw the muzzle of a gun thrust towards him by the Vyres. The ferocious brute's eyes narrowed. Finally catch Furball! Had us running all over! Tatsu didn't have any stamina or willpower left to resist. The two Vyres tied him up and tossed him into a basket. They set out side by side, each holding one end of the pole on their shoulder, with the basket hung between them, holding their delicious trophy inside, of course. From beneath his circular glasses, tears began to flow. Now a prisoner, Tatsu wept, but his tears were not shed for his imminent devouring. Rather, they were shed the thought that he would never again be able to meet the Noppon of his caravan. Sooner or later, Tatsu was planning to leave the caravan behind. He fantasized about slaying a wicked god, accompanied by sidekicks. Yeah. But Tatsu not imagine he'd leave camp in pick basket? Tatsu looked up the sky from a crack in the basket. Even through his tear-filled eyes, he could make out a blue color of the sky that stretched on and on. Beyond it, lay the vast vacuum of space, which was still unknown to the Noppon. A shooting star shot across the blue sky. Please, star, you're Tatsu's witch. Let her be pretty good with these meanies and let her cook Tatsu gently. Don't let Tatsu's beauty be tainted by gross creatures. Apologize for squirming absolutely won't wiggle inside tummy. Also wish... Tatsu's shooting star kept shooting. It did not vanish in an instant. It was not a tiny meteorite that fizzled out in the atmosphere. It was a large man-made craft, breaking apart as it fell. What? Tatsu forgot all about his wish and watched as the object fell beyond the mountains. That disc-shaped object and the fact that it was the residential sector of an interstellar immigration ship that was far beyond Noppon comprehension. This shooting star brought visitors along with it. Visitors who would come to christen the huge land that go on and on as Planet Mirror. And Tatsu will learn of this visit in the near future.